Hey everyone, Rho here. Today we're discussing the fabled Lost Primarchs, as we ask the question, just what did they do wrong? General spoiler warning to begin, as we will be discussing events from across the Warhammer 40k universe, so you have been warned. But, with that said, let's just jump straight in. So the Lost Primarchs, the biggest mystery in, well, really the entire Warhammer universe. And before we begin, the reality is, as far as I'm aware, the Lost Primarchs were originally created to simply add some mystery for the fanbase. There was no reason for them to be erased from the records. It was just done so players of the tabletop could just use their imaginations and create their own legions and primarchs. And obviously the hobby and the lore has grown massively since those early days, so the mystery around the Lost Primarchs has only grown along with it. Maybe the Black Library authors and GW have sat down and developed a reason behind the scenes. But to me, I think the premise remains true, and the truth of the Lost Primarchs will never be revealed. And in all honesty, in my opinion, that's the best thing. The mystery should always remain, because it lets us the fans wonder. And that's exactly what we're doing today. So the Lost Primarchs, Legions 2 and 11, all records expunged prior to the heresy. We've received many references and hints over the years, some contradicting others, some now outdated, some still very tantalizing. So rather than trawl through countless references and ultimately going in circles, let's simply stick to what we know. So, the Emperor did create 20 Primarchs, and all 20 of them were scattered from his laboratory, and then all 20 were found. The Emperor himself personally ordered the 2 Lost Primarchs to be expunged, and it had already happened by the time Corax was reunited with his father, who references only 17 brothers, despite Corax being named number 19. These are essentially the real facts we have that can't be manipulated by words or interpretations. From here on out, we're entering the world of theory and speculation. Now, a lot is made of the line "the forgotten and the purged," feeling it refers to one being lost and the other destroyed. However, to me that doesn't really make much sense. It's much more logical a reference to the missing Primarchs both. They are the forgotten and purged. And bearing in mind Horus and the traitor legions of the heresy have been kept within record, it's reasonable to assume whatever they did, or whatever befell them, was worse than mere betrayal, at least to the Emperor of mankind, who personally ordered their wiping from existence. And I think that is the crux of the mystery to me, because this is the Emperor, who for all his sometime cold practical callousness, is actually very eager and willing to overlook things to benefit his crusade. The damage done to Angron, essentially making him a broken Primarch, and barely loyal at all. The wings on Sanguinius, Lorgar's out and out breaking of the Imperial truth. Sure, he may have been punished for it, but he was not erased. So, whatever the Lost Primarchs' actions were, they were worse than betrayal, and something the Emperor could not overlook. So this, to me, leads me to think something along the lines of warp or chaos corruption. The Primarchs were created using the warp as we know. This is a fact. We also know they were scattered throughout the warp away from their father's protection. And we also have evidence of Primarchs being warp mutated in the Angel Sanguinius. If the Emperor were to head to be reunited with a Primarch, hearing tales of this grand being, or sensing him across the stars, only to arrive and be confronted by a warp mutated Primarch, and we're not talking some nice looking angel wings on a handsome long blonde haired individual here. This is something the Emperor could not overlook, so it has to be a true fall to the warp. And this could go two ways: a still perhaps loyal spirit whose body simply couldn't contain its power from within anymore, which could then tie into some other teases we've received, such as the Ultramarines absorbing one of the legions. If it's merely a result of failed science, the Astartes are not at fault, and I could see the Emperor looking at it that way. Or, and this one is probably more likely, if this failure didn't happen right away, and it happened after the brother or both brothers were bonded with their legions and fellow Primarchs, having taken part in the Great Crusade, as is believed to be the fact. Only then did this tragedy befall them, and that would explain why Horus was so angered at their memory being erased by Malcador. Because maybe they truly did nothing wrong. Sorry to borrow your line there, Magnus. And actually, the more I think about it, this reasoning actually works quite well with a few of the other teases we've received. Sanguinius being terrified of his legion being erased for his flaw. So many brothers remarking of them being gone, but in a remorseful way. Horus in a vision of the Primarch laboratory before the scattering, reflecting on the untapped glories that the 11th Primarch would never see, that simply something terrible befell them before they could achieve their true glories. And even Russ being the executioner, called in to deal with this fallen brother, and why he reflects on this duty so solemnly. Even the Emperor erasing them from history, as keeping the secret of the Primarch's creation, the secrets of the Warp and the Chaos Gods, was always his most closely guarded secret. So there really could be, to me, definite room for exploration of this theory. The other side, of course, is that this fall was completely and utterly a fall to chaos, corrupted as their pods drifted alone in space. It would certainly be reason enough for their erasing from the record, because this did happen a long time before the heresy. Perhaps the Emperor found and erased them immediately, but then I'm not sure he'd be happy keeping their genetic legacy around. So the Ultramarines absorbing numbers rumour would have to be false, as well as the two Primarchs taking part in the Great Crusade. And even then it wouldn't make much sense in regards to Horus's anger. So really a simple fall to chaos doesn't exactly fit either, as well as any simple betrayal. And really any other theories you can come up with will struggle to fit in with the hints and teases we've received. Somewhere along the line they will counteract a tease we have seen before. Maybe they simply refuse to join the Imperium. Well, again, it's been teased that they took part in the Great Crusade. And if they never joined the Imperium, why would there be statues needing to be taken down? Maybe they declared themselves a god, declaring themselves the divine ruler and not the Emperor. Well then that one doesn't tie in so well to why the other Primarchs would look back on them so fondly. Maybe they went to war against each other. Now, this one does have some promise. They're not outright declaring against the Imperium, and there's no fall to chaos. It's simply a war between two legions. We've even had Rusties of Astartes versus Astartes before. So yes, maybe this one could work. However, if this was the case, why would the heresy seem so shocking? Why would the Primarchs be so aghast at fighting one of their brothers, if it had all quite simply happened before? So maybe this one doesn't fit quite so perfectly either. However, it is one of the better possibilities to me. How about something really crazy, and that maybe they still exist? That the two Primarchs and their legions were dispatched out into the void, heading out to take on a grave future threat, only foreseen by the Emperor himself. That maybe out there somewhere within the void, or even another galaxy, two lost Primarchs and their legions still fight to this day against the hive mind and the race of the Tyranids. The only reason in truth the bulk of the Tyranids is yet to arrive in our galaxy is through the sacrifice of those two forgotten legions. Man, it doesn't work with all the teases we've seen unless the Emperor concocted a massive false story. But man, what a narrative that would be. How amazing would that story be to tell? Or even one day to have these two Primarchs return to the Imperium, bringing a foreboding of the entire Tyranid race about to arrive. Oh boy, that would be amazing. Or yet for a final one, how about the two erased legions are merely the two other heads of the Hydra? We know Omegon exists, but where is the third? What an ultimate secret that would be. Maybe we'll have to play with that theory some more another day. But as always guys, what do you think? Do you feel like me that the most likely explanation is maybe more of a tragic fall than a dark one? That the sense of tragedy is the only real explanation that fits in with all the teases we have yet received, and goes some way to explaining the trepidation of the Primarchs that are left? Or do you feel that maybe it is a darker fate that befell the lost two Primarchs? Or that maybe there was a simpler explanation to why they had to be erased? As always, leave your thoughts in the comments below, I love to read them. Huge thank you to all my subscribers, your support truly means a lot to me, it really does. And if you're new, please consider subscribing to help the channel grow. And if you enjoyed this particular vid, then why not drop a like on it too. But with that said, I am off and I'll see you all again real soon.